when I saw tankers after tankers just entering my society. Why is this happening? Why is it happening? So there were so many discussions of big solutions that could be implemented. But in the end of those 2 months of summer, nothing was implemented. Nothing. Most of the people are not in the habit to even think about saving water or even think about how much water they use every day. Water saving should be part of your lifestyle. It should be just a part of your routine.
And it's not part of our routine.
That's the point of the device, to make it a part of your routine.
This can actually help you regulate the amount of water that, or control the water wastage. You're in grade 11 and you're talking about water. This is water. This is boring. This is absolutely boring.
So the people who get Kaveri water are not very bothered about this issue because they're getting a regular supply. They don't have to face the issues we do. Whatever they say, I take it as some sort of advice. I feel it's an important learning to be not taken seriously. And personally, I make sure that it does not demotivate me.
All right, for this edition of Let's Talk Water, we have with us Aadya Kanchan, 11th grade student, who is also a young water warrior. She's come out with something called, or let me just say, she's innovated a new device called NIRI, N-I-R-I, which regulates water. And we're going to discuss all about that and much more. Aadya, thank you for being here on Let's Talk Water.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. First, I just want to understand what is that device which is there in front of you. And you've termed it NIRI, and you were telling me it's similar to Niru.
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead.
So I'm a Bengaluru girl, and I think the inspiration for the name of this device has come from the Kannada word for water, which is Niru, so therefore NIRI. So this device is placed so that individuals can help save water every single day. It works on high consumption points, your showers, your utility basins, your dishwashing, your gardening, and slowly and steadily through behavioral change, you're able to slowly cut down your water consumption at those specific points. It has different sensors, it has buzzers, it has regulation, it has blocking mechanisms. Combined, it allows constant behavioral change and an easy and a flexible way to save water.
Everything in that device.
Yes.
So what made you come out with this device? What made you, let me just put it in this way, invent this device?
I think I'll have to take you back to 8th grade, where
we have the time.
It was in summer, and I was staring outside my window when I saw tankers after tankers just entering my society. Generally, we have 3 to 4 tankers. That day, we had around 9 to 10 tankers entering. And it just made me pause for a minute and think, why is this happening? Why is it happening? And slowly, I started having discussions with my parents, and I saw the society discussions that happened as well. I got to know that Bangalore was under a water crisis, and so was our society. And the society discussions were something very unique to me. So there were so many discussions of big solutions that could be implemented. But in the end of those 2 months of summer, nothing was implemented. Nothing. And that really just lightened a spark inside me as a student who loves science, who loves to do something towards social impact. What can I do?
This was in the 8th grade.
Yes.
And then you started this.
Yes, my journey began from there.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people have supported me in this journey. From school to my parents, I think the journey has been one of the best journeys which I hope to take forward. And this is the 5th iteration of the device. And It started off with a few wires here and there, slowly building the concept, and slowly across the years just build it forward, and looking forward to taking it more ahead as well.
But this has a lot of electronics also in it.
Yeah.
So how did you get help? Who helped you? How did you come out with this? Especially I'm talking from the electronic point of view.
Certainly. So I was able to get mentorship in the Atal Tinkering Lab, the ATL lab in my school. So they were able to help me understand the electronics behind what concept I'm trying to implement in this device. So they guided me that this should be the components you should be aiming for. This is the necessary coding you would be requiring.
Coding as well.
Coding as well.
Wow.
This is a C++ coding as well. So I was able to learn that throughout the journey as well. And they guided me specifically, and they allowed me to do it myself. And I think that was the best thing. They did not just, the mentor was not just a person who did everything himself, but actually guided me so that I can do it as an individual. And that was a very key moment as well, because that allowed me to take this forward and further. So I think that mentorship was invaluable in starting.
And you were also telling me before this recording that this should be ready in the month of June. I mean, to actually sell in the market commercially.
Yes, certainly. So I'm working towards getting a market-ready device right now so that it can be plugged into any point of consumption. And hopefully the pilot goes well. So I think the first steps would be towards the proof of concept to understand if this device is efficient and what are the consumer feedback regarding this device, and then move it forward ahead.
Okay, so let's break this device down even more. something that a common man can understand. I mean, you explained to me that it regulates water usage. How does it actually do? Say, for example, I have fixed this uh, to my shower. How does it work?
All right. So if you have it in a shower, you will first, there are 5 modes to the device if I break it down very simply. So when you have it in your shower, you will first be in the normal mode where you'll be able to understand how much water you're consuming every single time.
So the moment I turn on the tap, this is the amount of water that flows.
Yes, you'll be able to understand. It's a real-time feedback system. So you'll be able to constantly see how much water you're using. I think for 5 to 7 trials, you should just be noticing how much water you're using. I think that awareness is very key. And then once you understand how much water you're using at that specific point, you move to the next mode, which I like to call the alert mode, where the device will be able to calculate your average consumption. Based on that, suggest certain thresholds to you, which will be lower than your average. Let's say 100 liters is your average in the shower. It would suggest you thresholds of, let's say, 90 or 80 liters. Will be constantly giving you alarms at 50% consumption, 100% consumption.
So this is after your 7 trials. It starts working after 7 trials, or this is how it's built in?
It's built in that way. So to understand your consumption patterns, I think that's one of the necessary steps before you move on into the further modes and understanding the threshold systems. So the alert mode is the buzzer system where it's a more of a psychological alert to alert you that, okay, this is how much water you have used at that point of time. And then once you're alerted, when you're understanding that this is the point where you could possibly save water, you move into a very interesting mode called the regulate mode. So this mode is inbuilt so that a person doesn't lose their comfort of water as well as their saving water. That's when the same threshold system will work. But what happens is when you cross the threshold, your water speed starts gradually reducing.
So it's not a sudden drop of water. Okay.
It's a more flexible approach to it. So let's say if it's working on 8 liters per minute, it would go to 7, 6, 5.
So can a person actually understand that, feel that when you're under the shower?
Definitely. I think shower speeds, even more, you'll be able to understand it because it's such a high speed.
So it keeps dropping way gradually.
Even if there's 1 liter per minute less flow, you'll be able to understand the difference. And I think that instigates behavioral change if you look at it, because when the speed reduces, you will immediately start rushing in to try finishing your work as soon as possible. So that psychological game is really important here.
So more than anything, you're focusing on a person's behavior, how they work on saving water.
Yeah.
It's not the concept of, okay, you know what, this is what you must do, but this is what I must do as an individual because this is the amount of water I'm actually wasting.
Absolutely. I truly believe that water saving should be part of your lifestyle. It shouldn't be an extra thing someone needs to add on in their life. It should be just a part of your routine.
Well, it's not part of our routine.
And that's the point of the device, to make it a part of your routine. I think that's a certain important step that needs to be taken in this day and age.
So you said that you want to fix this at certain places to understand the proof of concept. I'm sure you would have already, spoken to people about this. What are the reactions you're getting from others when you say that this is how it works and this is what it will do?
Yeah, I think for many people, it's a very novel thing. Some who know about this problem and situation, they appreciate it. They say, okay, this looks interesting. Why don't I try it out? But let me be very honest, this is not everyone's reaction. Some people are skeptical towards the idea. But why? Because most of the people are not in the habit to even think about saving water or even think about how much water they use every day. And I think what I understand and what I take away from this is it's supposed to be a challenge, and I take up the challenge in that aspect.
No, it's strange because these people that you spoke to who are skeptical are from Bangalore.
Yeah, I think.
And they would have seen the issues that we suffer from over here, the tanker water that people have to depend on, the groundwater depleting, the flooding that takes place, and yet are skeptical when you see that this can actually help you regulate the amount of water or control the water wastage.
True. Well, let me tell you a very interesting thing about Bangalore. So Bangalore is quite split apart if you look at it. One area gets tanker water, one area gets Kaveri water.
The outskirts get tanker water. The old areas of Bangalore get Kaveri water because of the pipe connections.
Absolutely. So the people who get Kaveri water are not very bothered about this issue because they're getting a regular supply. They don't have to face the issues we do.
Interesting.
So in that aspect, that's one thing. Second, everyone's really aware of the water crisis. I won't deny it. The issue that comes here is the magnitude to which you're aware of. Some people know it just for the sake of it. Some people know it so that they can take action. I think that's the major difference you can see amongst people here.
So these people who are skeptical would have Kaveri connection.
That's why,
Isn't
second, even a mindset issue, it's not only about Kaveri. I think even if they face issues with water, they're skeptical of how the device would necessarily work. How will it help them? And even the fact that they have to cut down their consumption, because water, in its sense, it's a vital resource. We cannot survive without water.
true?
So even the thought of trying to regulate water is something that takes time for people to understand. And I think that's the point of a device, so that it comes more easily instead of just a hit.
Adya, this is extremely interesting, but I want to know what keeps you motivated to do this, especially at your age. I remember, especially when water, the importance of water only struck me, say, the past few years. I knew water was important, but how important it is, it's only in the past few years when I saw issues of scarcity and I see people suffering. But you're in grade 11 and you're talking about water. So what is that motivates you to do this?
I think I would say three key things. One is an internal drive. I'm a philomath by nature. I love learning new things. And I think once I delve into a subject, it's very hard to remove me out of it. So when I found my passion for water, by this real situation I faced, the crisis I faced, I think it got me in, and that's it. There was no turning back. Second, I would definitely like to say the surrounding I have, my parents, my school, they have been always encouraging me to constantly work towards it, even at the times it gets tough. So I think that's a very important aspect that you cannot ignore. And third, I would say that a lot of people at this point talk about how this current generation, the adults of this generation, should be working towards it. But I feel, why only the adults? We're going to be the generation who's going to be facing the effects. We should start working on it as well.
It's interesting you spoke about your generation. Now, a lot of them, especially on social media, talk about, we have to save the environment. We should not waste water. Don't throw plastic. But is it all just on social media? Is your generation actually on ground doing this? I'm speaking to you, you're doing this, but I don't see a lot many of them really bothered. That's my perspective, but I just want to know from you.
So I think what I understand from this situation, I will not deny the impact that social media can have. Look, social media can be very advantageous to spread the right message. I mean, the first step towards any action is the awareness. But I feel what I would add at this point is that along with this awareness, there needs to be more field action that also takes place. And I'm sure it will be there as well. But I feel on a more, maybe in more scale and more percentage, I think that would be an addition.
What's it among your friends? How have they reacted to what you're doing? Because this is not, let's put it this way. If there's something on entertainment, everyone's really happy. This is water. This is boring. This is absolutely boring. How do they react to this? I mean, when you talk to them about water,
Yeah.
is it like, okay, water? You're not talking to them about, okay, you know what, I'm doing this. It's not an adventure sport as such, but it's water.
I think for specifically my friend group, I would say I would counter that opinion because actually all of us have faced the water crisis. Therefore, we are able to relate to it. So when I speak about this in my friend circle and in my school as well, everyone can immediately relate to it.
They relate to it, but does it really bother them? Because see, the people with money, it doesn't bother them. I don't have water, but I have the money to go and buy water. I don't have water. I don't have water, but I can, go and, because I have money. There's a difference between it being, you can relate to it and that it really affects you.
Absolutely. I think because of the time we faced the water crisis, even with the people who had money still did not have water. So I think that also really hit. And still, I would say in this generation, even though there are few people who relate to it as well as are bothered about it, would like to take action, there is a major demographic that is still getting used to the issue. I think it's not an issue that easily everyone can act towards it or even be able to relate to it.
Any changes you have made in your lifestyle since you're a young water warrior, you're looking into water conservation, you're talking about it. What changes have you brought about at home?
I think definitely many, starting from even the start of my day, even while brushing my teeth, the tap no longer stays on. It's always on. Second, we have our RO water reject that comes out. We've been collecting it in Bisleri cans, reusing them. And I'm even working towards putting NIRI in my own house as well, so that we can have a complete water positive household. So I think that's my next plan of action as well. So I think because of my work in this field, I've been able to look at the changes in my habits as a person and able to realize the importance of water. So definitely major changes from the time before I was even interested in water.
Interesting. I also want to know this. What are the major water issues that concern you the most? I mean, we spoke about, you started saying that you're a Bengaluru girl. You know the problems that we face over here. And most of the experts that I speak to say that Bangalore really does not have a water crisis. We're just wasting a lot of water. So, what issues bother you the most?
I think number one would be in this aspect, irresponsible consumption. It is a massive issue that can be related to almost everyone, I would say. Not everyone can have a goal of how much water they're using and how to even conserve it. I think second would also be the distribution of water. There is a lot of it's not very regular distribution of water in its sense. Then you come to the concepts of water sanitation. And I think in general, what I've realized that reusing and recycling methods of water are can be complex and can require a lot of work and technology to be put inside it. But reducing is something that can be done by everyone.
So, that is what NIRI is all about.
Yes. I think to allow every individual to reduce at their own level, at their own pace, as a lifestyle, is something this device or this technology is targeting in its nature. Reduce first and then move towards reuse and recycling.
So, what frustrates you the most when it comes to how people use water? Is it that they don't care?
I think just the fact that they are not aware of how much water they're using.
Come on, I mean, everyone knows there's no water.
Yeah.
They don't have water. So, I'm sure people know that this is the amount of water we are using. Don't you think?
I would disagree to that. I feel I took a lot of surveys when I was working towards this concept, and in my surveys, let me tell you the stark difference in the data. Everyone was aware of the water crisis. Let me say 100%. I took a survey of around 100 to 150 people. And when it comes to what action they're taking towards water conservation, and second, how much water they're using every single day, I did not receive an answer. I really did not. Because every time I ask a person how much water they're using in a shower, how much water do they consume in a day, I don't hear answers. Because people are not able to value water the same way we value things like currency and money and etc.
Is it because water is cheap that we get it easy?
Absolutely. I think at this point, for 1 liter, we pay around 10 paisa. And I call it the psychology of money because look how much we're working towards budgeting our money. We know how much we're spending in our grocery, how much we're spending in our travels. We're so aware of what money is going out and what money is going in. But when you look at water, how much water are you spending? How much water do you have? We don't have a calculation of that. We're not aware of it. And therefore, we don't know the importance of it.
So you suppose if this changes, things will change. There will be a behavioral change in the way people actually use water. If we
pay as well as the mindset to be aware. I think that is two key stepping stones towards being actually bothered about the water crisis and taking action towards the water crisis.
Now, there is so much that you speak about this. So I just want to know: do you suppose that students or kids your age feel powerless sometimes on these issues that they can't do much, especially when it comes to, like, say, water scarcity and all?
I would, at least from my experience, I would have to disagree to that because I feel in today's generation, the youth is always pushed to take action, to always have their voice spoken out. And there are a lot of youth platforms that exist in today's day and age, which were never present in the previous generation. So I think a lot of youth voice is building up regarding environmental issues as well. But the important aspect here is that which demographic of youth is willing to do this. So right now, I would say the numbers are few, and I'm sure it will increase slowly for you.
So when you talk about the youth, let's put it this way: you're talking about the urban youth or you're talking about the rural youth?
Right now,
because there's a big difference.
There is a massive difference. I feel both of them have different issues, and I think the urban youth is more empowered to speak about issues like this.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like I do not have much to say about the rural youth aspect as well. But for the urban youth, right now, they're being more empowered to speak, to talk about issues like this, to even take action in their own way. If you look at our curriculum as well, we're pushed to do some sort of community service in our year, not just to academics as well. So I think these are small changes coming in today's generation. And I think slowly, when we build across the years, this is the current generation that are going to be the adults in next decade or so. And I'm pretty sure we would have good action and good policy taking place as well.
How do you deal with adults who might not take your views too seriously? You're still in school, you do not have experience. We know what's happening over here. How do you deal with them?
For me personally, I first, whatever they say, I take it as some sort of advice, because I feel it's an important learning to be not taken seriously, because you get advice and you get suggestions with that in that aspect. And personally, I make sure that it does not demotivate me. I take it on like a challenge. If there is a view that is coming opposing to the device, I try to consider it. Perhaps there is some wisdom behind that contradiction or that confrontation. So I try to take whatever suggestion or advice I can get out of it and not get demotivated, take it as a challenge, try to push them towards considering the idea or improving the idea. I'm always open to improve and build up the
So
device.
basically communicating with them.
Yeah. I think it's important to always speak to people who are not ready to accept your idea. That's when you actually will be able to understand the truth of your device or your idea. Otherwise, always being in the rosy lights, I don't think that's the best way to go ahead with it.
Adia, what was also very interesting is a few days ago, before this recording, you were telling me something about the boiling frog effect. That really caught my attention. Could you just tell me more about that?
Sure. I think it's an analogy that correlates to the water crisis and people's behavior to the water crisis very well. So this is the basic output of what the boiling frog effect means. It means that if a frog is put in a pot of water and it's put on, let's say, a gas on a flame, it will not realize the temperature of the water at that point. It will slowly start rising. It will be cold first. It will be lukewarm, and then by the time and it starts relaxing in those lukewarm waters. And by the time the water gets too hot and it starts boiling, it's too late, and the frog ends up passing away in it. The point of understanding this effect is to really understand our behavior to the water crisis. Right now, we're in that lukewarm state where we don't realize that the temperature is rising, that the crisis levels are rising, that water is surely going to become a commodity that wars are going to be fought over, and many cities are seeing their day zeros of water as well. And by the time it's boiling, the water starts boiling, it's going to be too late. So rather take action now than later.
It's very interesting because I suppose we do know what's happening, but we just don't care.
Yeah, because you don't feel the effect. You don't have that drive or that motivation that this is a real issue or this could be an issue as well.
Okay. If you could change one thing and thing about how the world perceives or uses water, what would that be?
I always believe that water is such a vital resource. It's literally the start of life. Ancient civilizations have started on water. So if we just start taking water the same way we take a currency, to treat it as importantly as like our life depends on it, our survival depends on it. Trust me, the moment that thought enters people's mind, things will change. It all starts with one thought, that one awareness that how important water truly is and how fast it's depleting as well. This is not going to be a resource that's going to be staying on this planet for very long. And I feel once that thought comes in, taking action will be much easier to do so as well. It could be through technology innovations. It could be by the small actions that you do every day. Action will follow once the thought process is right.
How does it feel then when you see all these lakes being destroyed? The encroachments that are taking place over here. Once beautiful, massive lakes today are mere sewage dumps.
I think it really pains me to see things like this, and it also makes me realize that how come we're not able to see the truth right in front of us. We're literally...
Hence, I come back to that boiling frog effect. I mean, it's no more lukewarm water. It's already hot. And still we don't realize that. So, yeah, it just confuses me why people don't see that or don't feel it.
Yeah, I think at some points, what I feel when I see such things happening, I almost feel like if people are not even able to realize what they're doing, they're working like automated machines or automated robots, just doing things for monetary purposes or even for their specific benefits. Look, everyone is running on a certain benefit system. They would need something in the process as well. And because there's lack of awareness in this situation as well, and alternatives that look, if you look at industrial revolution and if you look at industrial development, it is something that cannot be avoided very easily. You do require industrial development. What we need to push for is an alternative to not destroy the balance of nature in the process. I think that's also a very key aspect in this.
So you think awareness will help? You mentioned awareness. Different places believe that the more people are aware, more messaging is put out there. Save water, don't destroy what's left. Water's precious. If this is drilled into us day in and day out, you suppose things can change?
I think it will come. Awareness alone is not enough. I'm very sure about that. Firstly, I agree. Awareness is required to drill it, to constantly remind. I think that reminder is very important.
Turn off your tap. Don't waste water. Don't use excess water. Okay, yeah.
Absolutely. But that without action does not mean anything.
What sort of action?
Action could be anything. It could be at a small scale or a large scale. For small scale, things like turning off the tap. For a larger scale, implementing policies that do not allow encroachment of such lakes and rivers, to give alternatives to industrial development instead of needing to actually encroach these lakes and rivers. So there is action that can take place at almost every level. It's almost a pyramid system. It starts from grassroots, it can move to community, nation, international. There can be action at all scales. But it starts with an individual, I would say.
I just want to end with this. What sort of message would you give to those youngsters out there who want to do something but just don't know where to start?
I think the very first thing I would say, it's never too late to start. And I feel that you do not have to look for the most complex solutions to solve and even work towards the water crisis. Many people think that they need to work towards big systems like rainwater harvesting or even work towards complicated systems. But change does not always have to be big. It can start from small steps, small impacts. Maybe when you're waking up in the morning tomorrow, remember to switch off your tap when you're brushing your teeth. When you're taking a shower, remember there is someone in a village who's not getting water because you're using so much water in your shower. I think just these small reminders every day is a start. It makes a difference. Trust me, you don't realize it, but every drop truly counts.
When I think about water, this thought came there. When I think about water, there are two things. It's powerful and peaceful. Power it can destroy. And for me, water, when I see the waves at the beach especially, it's extremely peaceful, but also the power. So what does water mean to you? Just water.
I think water means everything. Water is life. We have such a strong connection with water culturally, based on industrial aspects, based on our daily needs. We are linked to water in a very important manner. We have come from water. Our civilizations have thrived on water. And if you look at water, it's literally a creator, preserver, and destroyer. If you look at any instance in history, water has always started as a creator. As you said, peace. It has always given people hope and life has thrived on the water banks. If you look at Mesopotamian or Indus civilization, slowly it starts preserving you. We have grown on water banks. We have started agriculture, industries based on water. But the point, that's the tipping scale that comes in again. If you don't treat water right, if you use it in excess, if you don't manage it well, it is going to be the same reason to destroy you that once gave you life.
All right. Thank you. I mean, I've spoken to a lot of experts, but I suppose this has been extremely interesting. Regardless of age, I think I have learned a lot more. And I hope those outside there who believe that, we can't do something, please understand 11th grade, she's already started something, going to come out in the market very, very soon. So you too can do that. Aadya, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I had a lovely time, and hopefully we will look forward to a water positive world in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.